Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Cohen, and she's back, guys. Madeline Rinehart is with us today. And let me tell you something, Madeline's podcast with me on this incredible podcast that we have, hers are seriously the most listened to episodes ever. Okay, so you know that it's gonna be juicy today. So Madeline, welcome back to the Spirit and Soul podcast.
Girl, let's get to it. I am so excited. Thank you so much for that intro.
Of course. So Madeline, if anybody didn't listen to maybe our last episodes together, or they don't know you just from like your own incredible work that you do, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so my name is Madeline Rinehart. I am commonly known by my clients as the meditation queen. Most people have found me through my meditations on YouTube, and my journey, just a real snippet of my journey of why I do what I do, why I'm obsessed with what I do, why I think it's important I do what I do, is like my journey into the world of spirituality, metaphysics, and mind, spirit, body healing began with panic disorder. A really a bad season. I won't even say bad, but a really intense season of anxiety, daily panic attacks, and wanting to, knowing somehow deep down that it was something I could heal. Don't ask me how I knew it. It didn't logically make sense. Everybody else around me was just like, oh, you just kind of get used to it. What's wrong with you, kind of thing. But I knew that there was something more to it than what I was seeing and being told. And so that basically put me on this deep dive journey into first learning about the mind body connection, which then led me to the spirit mind body connection, which now with the different things that Tiffany, you and I do with spinal, it's learning about the nervous system connecting to the field, to our energetic field, to the mind, to the spirit. And how that all, oh my God, it's our story. It's our stories are in us. They're in our body. It's in our nervous system. And these moments I have now learned more than ever come up because we are either up leveling and getting ready to purge something. It's time for it to be purged. It's time for it to be seen. It's never a bad thing. It's always a good thing. And so that's my why now. I want to, on the rooftops, be like, if you're going through stuff, let's dive into it. Let's lean into it. Let's help dissolve it, neutralize it, heal it, get the message, whatever it's here for a reason, because it's ultimately your own unique story being made manifest in the world.
Yes. And like, this is something I'm like shouting from the rooftops too, because it's like the transformations that we've seen, it's undeniable. I mean, it's undeniable when somebody is committed to their healing. Like, you have to be committed to the healing, right? And committed to letting these things go. But the things that are let go are just, it's mind blowing when you see what's on the other side of it. Like, what is on the other side of this contraction energy, this like stuckness, and it is your expansion. It is like the beauty that's waiting on the other side, but you have to be willing to walk through those things, and let them go. Walk through them and let them go. So yes, I the transformations that Madeline and I have seen is remarkable.
Yeah. There's no denying that there is a higher force at play in our life, and it's here for us, and it will work for each and every one of us. I think where we feel like it's not working for us, where we get confused or scared, is when it actually is working for us, but we're moving through really either a season of detox or integration, or it's moving in such a way that we just don't understand the connection between what's happening on the outside versus what's really happening on the inside. But yeah, to your point, 100%, when you get through the hard parts, the scary parts, when you ultimately like surrender to it, I feel like there's like there's like a pull process. There's different stages of, it's not just like one specific call to action, like just surrender here. Sometimes the action is to dive in and to process or to bring consciousness or light. Sometimes it is just to be in the helpless state just for this moment. I think each stage of the up-leveling process and ultimately really the healing process, the coming back into the true self state process, can call on a different thing. So understanding that, I think, helps the journey so much, because then you understand that what you thought was like the death of like your life is really just an ego death, right? It's just like a section of your life that was not the thing, and it's not where you're going. And then when you recognize it for what it is, it's like, oh God, okay, cool. So this is actually not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And when I know how to handle each season, each stage, when I have wisdom around that, it just gets so much easier. And then life just continues to expand. And like you said, in crazy ways you can't predict. Like literally 10xing, 3xing, 10xing successes, brand new relationships, brand new epiphanies, things just like seeing things. Like I just had a coaching call with a young woman, and this whole life that she was in, it was really a very dramatic, chaotic world and relationship. This has come up recently for her because she's on this healing journey. We've been working together for about a month, and she's just expanding. She's like, literally, her body's opening, her throat is opening, her voice is opening. And it's no surprise that now, as we're wrapping up our sessions, someone from the past, a very dramatic ex, wants to come in and wants to reconnect. And it's like, so we kind of spoke about that. It's no surprise to me, but it would be surprising if you have no idea. Some people might think, oh my gosh, maybe it's the universe saying I have to go back to the past. And I'm like, no, that's not what it's saying. Like, that's a part of you that's actually being released. It's really not about the ex. It's really about the part of you that you are seeing and saying no thanks to. You're releasing, release with love, however you want to do, whatever works for you. But it's all of this outside stuff is a reflection of the inside stuff. And then when we see that, it just makes it so much easier. So she's in that process of really just saying goodbye. I think she's going to probably do some cord cutting, but a past her might have gone back and recreated that drama dynamic, but her now with greater wisdom, with help, with support, is going to be able to move just step even closer to her great destiny that I see her walking into. But yeah, it's incredible when you allow
That,
yeah, good.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's truly incredible. It really is incredible how much energy gets unleashed when we do that, when we shift, when we're on that highest path, and like all that energy, it's mind blowing. It's truly mind blowing.
Mm. And with your client, right? It's also this, like, I feel like the universe does give tests, and I know some people don't really believe that, but I do, right? And the thing is, it's almost like, it's, if you've ever read Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukov, he talks about karma and karma coming back around, and that sometimes the temptation, that he says that the temptation is the dress rehearsal for the karma. Right. So it's
Oh
like,
God.
yeah. So it's
Tell me,
like,
so
this
the
was
dress
her.
rehearsal for the karma. So it's like a, hey, this is what's coming, or this what might be coming, or yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I think for like your client, let's say, right, like the temptation is that going back to that old way of being, but she's transcending that through her work with you. So the temptation is, do I fall back into old patterns and old karma that maybe this is the closing of the loop, right? If she goes back into the loop, right, goes back with this guy, now she's falling back into that same karmic pattern, karmic loop, and the karmic loop is not ever closing. Or her saying no is actually the closing of the karma. So the temptation comes in and says, what are we doing? Are we continuing this karmic loop, or are we closing this up for good?
Yeah.
Right. So like, I love thinking of like those tests as temptations. And it's like, what are you going to lean into? What are you going to do here? And like, the universe kind of gives you that. I've been on the other end of that. We all have, if we kind of sit back and think of it. And it's always on your up level. Always.
It is. I know. Sometimes it's like, is this a joke? Is this a cosmic? Are you laughing at me, universe? Is this like fun for you? But
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
you know what I mean? It's like, but like I said, it does when you can see it for what it is. And the biggest thing I think for me that I have been practicing with this up leveling and having all things come, and it comes in a different way though, usually. It's never just like exactly the same, because that would be too easy, right? It's like, it comes in a way that you're like, oh, wait, this is just a little bit different though, right? But it's when you tune into it, it's not, it's that
It's not.
dynamic, it's that drama, it's that same like fear response or protective response or whatever it is. What I have been leaning into is really just um, going, first of all, seeing really, really like radically seeing the outside as a reflection of my inside. Don't let me get caught up in the drama of what this person's saying or what's appearing, this manifestation or this symptom, or like don't get caught up into too much of the drama there. Like, what within me is actually being pushed on? What is the energy within me that's ready to be? Because what I believe is that with these up levels, for us to up level, it requires energy, right? It requires energy to help us move into that a different pattern, a higher dynamic, to hold a higher consciousness. That takes energy. And when we have like a trauma, or if we have like I feel it as a density or a weight within my body is how I feel it now, but you could maybe know it as when we have an old belief, a limitation, limiting belief, when we have a trauma, truly, when we have a place in our nervous system that maybe contracted years ago and never felt quite safe to fully open up yet, but now it is, and it's ready to open up so it can allow that energy in to flow. It's going to open up and begin to release and detoxify whatever has been stored. There's so much energy in that. That is potential, I guess you could say, potentiated energy. That's a richness that when you release it, it's like, whoosh, right? It's like, you think of how powerful one atom is. You think about the atomic bomb, for instance, you're splitting apart the power of atoms, right? How many atoms do we have, right? It takes energy to hold a trauma. It takes energy to hold a lower pattern. It takes energy to hold a limitation. It really, and you can feel it in your body when you tune in, like, wow, that feels like a weight, like right on my heart. Or wow, that feels like a pit in my stomach. That takes a lot of energy to hold that in there. So when we get these like outside sort of triggers that hit on that, I always think like, okay, what within me is getting ready to just explode and be activated, because this release of energy is what I've been asking for, right? So my soul is like, time to go, girl. Let it go. Let's do it, right? So we get these things, and I try not to get too caught up into the drama unless I feel like action's being asked of me. But I go within, and I love using breath. I love using spinal. I love using meditation, like light, so your intention, your frequency, consciousness, and then you just you liberate that energy, and it's just like things just shift. Yeah. So I always look at it like what energy is looking to be liberated from me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love the term liberated, because liberation feels empowering, right? That
Mhm.
word. So whereas like a release, it's like, yes, that same thing. Any type of release is empowering, but the word liberation is truly a powerhouse word. And that's what you're doing, right? As you're like, just what you're saying, as you're letting it go, it's it's manifesting into your greatness, right? It's
Yeah.
not looking to be manifested into an energetic anchor again. It's looking to be manifested into your greatness. And that's true liberation, right?
Yeah.
I love that term. I love that you use that. I'm gonna start using that.
Use that, girl. Yeah. I'm looking to be liberated energy, right? Because it's all about energy. It's all about where we're flowing it and where we're not flowing it, where we've constricted or contracted because of fear, traumas, like really, real things. That's eventually where it's going to come around again. We're going to be asked like, hey, remember when this happened when you were, 7 years old? And it can be the littlest thing. Sometimes it's not even like the most dramatic things that we think we're dealing with. Sometimes it's like, it's someone in passing said something, and in that moment you contracted and you had this like fearful belief, like, oh my god, everyone hates me. Someone in passing may have said like, oh my gosh, she really messed up, she really sucked on that, and then in that moment, oh gosh, everyone hates me, and then that gets deep in the unconscious, and then it kind of lives there until it's like you're wanting to up level, and you can't hold on to everyone hates me while also simultaneously trying to have a big impact on the world where you feel like a lot of people love me. Like, that's going to rub up against that belief big time. So it's not always the things you think. And sometimes it's, wow, I almost want to say, is it rarely ever the things you think? I think sometimes it is the things you think, but in my experience, like when I go to do like energy release and energy liberation and nervous system work, it's like things I didn't even know. Like I didn't even realize like sounds coming out of my mouth that I'm pretty sure were from like when I was a baby. So I really had like, like not prenatal, but like I wouldn't have consciously known that that was even there. It's like the body really holds your story. It's like your fingerprint. It's incredible. It's incredible, even though it's not always, it doesn't always seem to make sense.
Yeah, I think that what you said is really important, right? It's truly like your body is your fingerprint and it's holding but it's not even, it's like the soul is holding it too. So it's not even what happened in this lifetime. Like that's why you might be feeling it as a baby. It's like what happened in your previous lifetimes that have been carried through because the karma carries through, right? Because that soul is it's an infinite being. So if we know that and we can understand that, and you're a believer, remember, everybody take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But if you're a believer in past lives, then you know that any karma and any lessons that weren't learned and things that you're meant to bring to life in this lifetime those past lives may have an impact on this one. And to what you were saying too, Madeline, uh, why am I drawing a blank right now? Anyway, I think I'm meant to go back to past lifetimes. So
Yeah, I know. It might have
I'll
been.
move on and it's like stop right there. Stop right there. And so like that's the energy I keep getting. So how do you feel about past lives and what you're seeing as far as the clients that you're working with? Do you see a lot of past life coming up?
Okay, let me sit with that. Yeah, I do, even though I don't specifically do past life work. So when I'm doing like an energy liberation or a trauma release or um, getting getting the nervous system, like let's say someone's stepping into a new identity, and that identity is around like seeing themselves vibrant, the life of the party, like being loved, even if that was never their identity before, that's not their identity now. Like that identity of being the one kind of that no one pays attention to, that's just sort of there, like, you can be there but don't be seen or heard too much. That identity can have definitely have been an identity that carried on through lifetimes. And when we do like a meditation and we'll tap into like what is our message here, yes, very often you can tap into something that goes like way beyond this life. That's definitely there. um yeah, so there's definitely a past life situation. And then, but knowing that the way I approach it is, if it's what's showing up here and now is what's to be addressed, right? So you can definitely come in from a past life carrying that. I think I definitely am resolving things from past lives. And then at the same time, I also see it as being bare. I don't see myself as necessarily healing a past life. I see myself as healing me here and now. It's very much still alive here and now. And because ultimately what I think it's about is it's taking on, for a lot of people, it's shifting into a whole new way of seeing and perceiving yourself and thinking about yourself. And that to your nervous system now is like, can be a huge threat, right? Because anything new to the mind is, oh God, unknown, scary threat. And it's just a very natural, unconscious reaction to anything new, which would include even a good new, even me stepping into my power, me stepping into the successful version of me, the identity of me, that it's like where things just click into place, like life flows, like I do well with people, people like me, I'm heard and I'm comfortable being heard. I love speaking and sharing my voice. Like that identity could be completely like the way to go for your soul, right? And it's what maybe your soul in a past lifetime was trying to do. But if it's presenting here and now, like this is the nervous system, this is the mind, this is the package that I'm working with per se. So does that make sense? So it's like totally into
Yeah.
past lives, but I don't approach it as such, which I don't know how that might make it different if your intention is and how do you do it, Tiffany? Do you find it more powerful for you when you focus on it as dealing with a past life, or is it, or do you see it, though I guess maybe the way I see it is that this is stuff that carried over karma, carried over into past lives, but now it's here and now, and this is where it's what's going on here and now in this life, in this body, that's most important to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do a lot of past life work for myself and for a lot of people. And I think that it's exactly what you're saying, right? Thing is showing up in the here and now, and it's showing up for a reason, right? So like, what is the reason? And if it doesn't fit almost in this lifetime, and this is why having a coach is so important, and this is why the work that Madeline does is so important, the work that I'm doing is important. It's because you cannot see your blind spots. You are acting, and you're acting from a belief system. You don't know where the belief system formed unless you actually take a look at it. So if you're looking at it and you're like, belief system is from now I'm starting to see those blind spots, right? Now I'm starting to see, like, I you know, my mother's fears have become my fears because they were her mother's fears, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Like, that's an ancestral lineage thing. But if nothing fits, if you're like, I don't know where, because abandonment, I think, is a big one that comes up a lot, where people are like, I've never been abandoned in my life. I've never had a feeling of abandonment. However, I always feel like I'm going to be abandoned. If nothing fits, it is probably past life related, because you don't have that experience in this consciousness. So going back into that past life and understanding what happened and why is it affecting this lifetime? Like, it's holding you back from something, right? So like, what in this life? So what is it holding you back from? Right. And that's, we look at it as like the, lower vibration karma, but that could be for the beautiful things too. Like, if you were, let's say, a singer, let's say you have a natural gift to be a singer, like my friend Madeline here. So let's say you have a natural gift to be a singer, and then you have stage fright. You can never ever get on stage, right? And like, but you know how powerful you are, and you can't understand why. If you do a past life, meditation or something like that, and it starts leading you into the past life of it, and you see that maybe you were like not allowed on stage, or maybe at that time you couldn't perform on stage for whatever reason, it could have been however many things in the past, right? But you always had this burning desire. That fear is sticking with you. Work through the past life fear, work through that trauma, maybe do a soul retrieval if you have something left behind, and suddenly you're singing on stage here in this life, right? So like, that's how I kind of look at it. But I find it to be like, it's always like the answer, it doesn't fit. If this lifetime doesn't fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, like, yeah, absolutely. I see that when I do like relationship work, or when I don't focus on so much of that in the moment, but when I was focusing on relationship stuff, there would be a lot of past life stuff. And it's like, especially with women, it's like, one of the biggest past life stuff, which is very relevant, was, even though I'm thriving on my own, I can clearly survive on my own, I feel like I'm going to die if I don't have a man to support me. And it's like, it just wasn't rational. And it's like, I wonder if that might be coming from a life where literally you would have died without a man. Okay, cool. And then so we bring that up, and then you bring it up in the body is the way I work with it, is where is it being held in the body? But yeah, for sure I'm sure there can be ways of however you do it, where it's like, you're just really specifically working on the consciousness from that lifetime. And yeah, that it's real. It's deep stuff. And the ancestral stuff, I think, is fascinating. The epigenetics of our body, and how it's like everything. I think about that too. It's like what created my body was the same composition, if you will, or the same stuff that like made my parents' body, and their parents' body was just passed down to me, and I'm making the best of this composition. And it's like, I wonder what I got, I wonder what's all the different programs going on. It's mind blowing. So the work's never going to end, right? Like the unraveling, it's just gonna coming back to that oneness, that true self state, that wholeness. It's just a continuation of unraveling. Like, holy cow, look what we've been through as a humanity, as a species, as a spiritual species, if you will. Like, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I love the oneness aspect of it, because truly that's what it's all doing, whether it's this lifetime, past lifetime, ancestral, all the things, it's coming back to you feeling that oneness, that wholeness, that love, and acting from a place of love. right? And not acting from a place of fear. So that's why I keep coming back to this work is so important, and working with someone, that can kind of guide you through that, and like pick the pieces out, like what you do, right? It's like you're picking out the pieces and you're saying, wait a second, let's focus here. And where is this being held in the body? And I love the healings that you do, because it's like, it's truly, you can feel it. Like you were saying before, like you can feel where that stuck energy is without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the healings that you do when you go into the body, and like, I'm sure that it has evolved over time, but like how you really go into that body healing and start to help people start to tune into it a little bit
Yeah.
more?
Definitely happy to. So one of the things that I've learned is that sometimes we, especially when we're in a more survival state or in a very much just kind of focused on getting through the day, we actually grow increasingly disconnected to the body and really disconnected to the soul, or disconnected to our field. Our nervous system is so instrumental in connecting to the field and allowing us to really receive that beautiful nourishment and those insights, and really just connect into the soul and operate from that higher self, that true self state is what I call it. And so usually when I first begin to work with somebody about releasing, typically it's a trauma, and it's known as such, even though it's not usually like some big T, like really dramatic, like I went to war trauma. It's usually something that happened chronically, and it just changed. It just, the nervous system, the body, you can see the body contracted, and it was just kind of trying to hold stuff into space, and it's trying to hold the stuff still there. And even though it's hurting them, and there's like usually a chronic pain connected with it, and they know they want to get rid of it, they don't know how. And being in the body is like the scariest thing. So that's usually the first thing we have to work on, is just getting back in the body. And that just means, from how I do it, as I really use the breath a lot more now, because the more I practice with the breath, the more I'm finding how like incredibly potent the breath itself is. But so if you can even like practice this now. It's like if you put your hand over your heart, like two hands over your heart, and you just try to focus on breathing through your chest and expanding the rib cage. And you can get a sense for how much it expands, and you can release that. You kind of get a sense for how much air you're able to bring in there. And now, as a contrast, put your hands over your belly button, and you just breathe in through your belly and see how wide and big you can breathe through the belly. And then you exhale. And I know for me, typically my belly expands, like that power center expands so much more wide than the chest. Sometimes it's my chest that it's much easier for me to breathe through, and my belly feels constricted. But whichever was able to expand easier, with more breath, with more life force, that's the place where you have the most energy richness. That's where you really want to begin reconnecting the body to your field, to the soul. The place where we don't have a lot of breath moving into, that's where you want to use the energy rich places, or the really potent, powerful places, to help the nervous system to reconnect to the body to the field. And then eventually, so that's usually where we begin, is just feeling, where am I disconnected? Where is the breath being either held or not flowing through? And then you just bring power back to that. That in and of itself begins to move things, because that's life force. That's the energy that's going to naturally begin to want to shift out the clogged, stuck, dense places. That's where we begin. Then when it comes to really getting that deep rooted stuff, like maybe past life stuff, ancestral stuff, now that we have a spirit mind body connection, now that we have more of a feeling, because side note, you'd be surprised at how many of us are actually like in a freeze state, a chronic freeze state, or like a chronic mild freeze state, where it's like we're functional, but it's like we're not fully present and engaged. We're not fully able to breathe in. There's a deep contraction, and you can see this a lot when a lot of like social media scrolling, like mindless social media scrolling, or it's like I know what I need to do, but I just can't seem to do it. And I know I want to do this, but a part of me just keeps resisting it. Am I stupid? Am I lazy? Like, what's wrong with me? And it's like, no, you're probably in a freeze state. And then using that breath, and using the places where you are energy rich, where you are filled with your own life force and power, using that to help connect to the disconnected places. Like, I can't even tell you how much that shifts for people, because their thinking will change so fast, right? They go from feeling like really powerless to feeling like, whoa, that thing I thought was an issue does not feel like an issue like whatsoever. Okay, that was a side note. So when we start to now really dig up the deeper traumas, now that we have that mind body connection, we have more awareness, more feeling, right? The breath is there. Then you can begin to pull up something that's really been bothering you or that is going on right now. And you can, like I said earlier, instead of seeing it as an outside thing, you just ask, where in my body am I holding this? And then pretty quick, pretty immediately, your body will light up. You'll feel where there's pain, where there's a heaviness, where there's a pressure. Maybe you go completely numb. Maybe it's all around your body. Like really trusting yourself is like super key. And then you just feel into like, what is the energy doing in my body, which is really in my energy. It's what's going on in my field. And then when you connect with that, you can then begin shifting that. You can use breath, you can use light, you can use awareness, you can use whatever tool most resonates. And it's just shifting it, just seeing it as energy. It's really not a problem. It's just energy that wants to move. It's energy it's potent, powerful. It's your life force that's like wanting to be liberated. And so you shift it, you take your time with it, you just let it be if it needs to be. But ultimately, you just bring awareness, life force, breath to it. And once it begins to shift, it's like it's like something comes over your eyes. It's like, holy cow. Why I get it now. Like I get how I was seeing that weird, or like the way you look at the experience that may have happened. It's like I myself have had a situation where I was so mad unknowingly. I was so mad at what some of my peers did to me in high school. I was so mad, but I repressed it. And I would try to find a way to like feel okay about it or let it go. And my mind just wasn't going there, because thinking follows the body. So if in the body there's a deep trauma, to think beyond the trauma that you're holding in the body, it's just not going to happen, or it's not going to happen for very long. You're going to go back to where your vibration really is. What the energy, the frequency of the energy that you're holding. But when I just approached it, when I didn't approach it like a cognitive thing, when I was just like, let me just breathe through this. Let me just see it as energy, just dense energy. It's not personal. It's just, it's the story I can begin unwinding through breath, through my presence. I'm telling you, when I began to release it as energy, I just felt so much better. I was like, well, I don't even care. Why was I even caring? Like, it's like not even a thing. And I actually kind of was like, thank you. Like, what a cool lived experience. And I think this was actually part of my path. I just sort of see it as this thing I just went through. It wasn't like something that happened to me. It was like, I went through that and I'm liberated from that. And it was just a whole new consciousness that just happened naturally when I liberated the energy, because that was my power. What I think I unconsciously probably was upset of was I was missing my power, and I felt disconnected from it, but it was right there. I was disconnected from it. So that's how I really approach it. Is I see everything as energy now, and I see the outside as energy on the inside. And when I liberate my inside, it's like the energy just takes over and things work out. I'm seeing things differently. I'm saying things differently. I'm telling you, like, even my husband, like, he literally, like, he was having like in his business a stuck period. And then I was like, kind of like letting him do his thing. But then I was noticing myself being kind of like worried about that, like, what's going on with that? When I started liberating energy within me, he literally the next week, he like 10x'd. He made more in that next week than he had made in a whole month for like the past year. And I was like, holy shit, like this energy work is, because it's abundant. It wants to flow through us. It's here for us. It wants to be liberated and perform magic and miracles. But often we're holding it out of survival, out of unknowingness. And it's just a matter of liberating it that we allow things to change within themselves. So does that make sense? Is that kind of how you do it? I'm curious how like your experience of, I guess, trauma work or energy liberation work works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 1,000,000%. It's like I always say, like, I speak the language of energy. I've been saying this for years and years and years, like even before spinal. It's just something about like I can, yeah, and you can too, right? And everybody can if they allow themselves to do it. It's really in allowing yourself. And I really see energy and feel energy, and I just understand it. Like you can see, like when you're saying like the energy richness versus, where it's stuck and bringing it, it's like, yes, of course. Right. Like when you start to now, like, as you're saying the words, like, if you're, listening at home, like start to think about what that means. What that means is there's energy richness means that there's more energy in one spot. You have like Madeline said, you have more energy in one spot. So if you have more energy like in one spot, that means that probably because the energy is not evenly distributed, that energy is missing from another place, right? Like, so now start to push that energy through and help from that energy rich space, or the space that has more energy, starting to push that to the places that don't. It's like borrowing energy. Think of it like that, right? Really, you're evenly dispersing it. You're trying to evenly disperse it. You're helping, your client or helping yourself evenly disperse the energy, or give it something it's lacking, right? So when I see somebody that you can see, and I'm sure Madeline now is very, very aware and attuned to this, like I am, I can look at somebody on the street, a stranger, and be like, I just want to go up and be like, shh, like, like get them with spinal and be like,
Yeah.
let me undo that heart space because you're really protecting it, like you can see in the way that somebody is carrying their body, you can tell where their energy is contracted. You can tell where there is not enough energy flowing in that space. A lot of times I see it in the heart. How can you see it in the heart? Well, you see the shoulders hunched over a little bit, right? Protecting the heart space a little bit more. You see the rounded back, right? As soon as you start seeing the back rounding from the, mid back all the way up to like the neck area, you know what's happening there. You know that there's energy it's literally showing you in the physical body that I am protected here. Don't come near me. We're protected in this spot, when really the energy truly, like Madeline said, just wants to flow. And when it's the more stuck you are, the less flow you get, which means you're probably in a lack mindset, a victim mindset, because the energy is sucked out of the abundance. It's sucked out of that higher manifestation energy, creation energy. It's actually literally the life force is being sucked out of it and into your body, contracting your entire body. Like, it's mind blowing when you actually sit back and start thinking about it in that way.
Oh my God. And to that, kind of wanted to add 2 cents, like, yeah, because someone in that state, that really protected, guarded state, right? They're hunched over, the shoulders are kind of in. It's like trying to tell someone, well, just think better. They might try, but they will hate you. Probably they'll think like, I can't just think better, right? And for me, the trick, you can use thought it's a vehicle for energy. So if you really
start the energy to start it,
right.
Kickstart.
But if you do like a spinal session, or if you're able to do some, like, just look at it as energy, connect with it as energy, and do like energy work, breath work around it, and just release the energy. When that energy liberates and now it's flowing up and down that spine, and the body's now connected to the field, and it's receiving the nourishment and the love that it was really seeking, not really wanting to guard itself from. But once it starts receiving that, the thoughts will change with that. Then it gets so much easier to feel loved and expect to be loved, and to feel a little bit less guarded and a little bit more open to life. It's incredible when you just step into the energy, because it just speeds everything up. And I think where like you and I are both at, it's like, I'm always here to, like, if I find myself asking, there's got to be an easier way. Is there an easier way? There usually is. Like, I'm usually ready for whatever that next level is. And maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, or something I need to get help with, whatever it is. Whenever I ask myself that question, there's got to be an easier way. I've always been guided to an easier way, or at least a different way of seeing it, which made it easier. But yeah, moving the energy is so profound, because everything shifts with the energy. So liberating that energy is really where I have found like the quickest magic, the biggest magic, the most unexpected magic, like even beyond what I could have thought to ask for. Like the example with my husband again, it blew my freaking mind. I was like, have I been blocked? Like,
You're like, am I the problem?
Yeah, right. It's like, it was me. I was the problem.
It's me. Hi. Oh
And I'm like, shit, energy's crazy. So I'm all about I'm all about the energy work. I'm here for the energy work. I'm obsessed. Obsessed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And it just enhances like the more that you can understand it and the more that you can understand it for yourself, right? Like I think that's the biggest thing. It's like it is incredible what we can do for others, but what have you done for yourself, right? And I've seen you grow over so, over so many years that I've known you, Madeline, like seen you grow and just grow and grow and grow. And it's like it's incredible. And it's because you begin focusing energy, and it, right? And understanding the energy. And when you can start to truly understand it, you can start to manipulate it. And I'm saying that in the best sense of the word, like you can start to manipulate it to your favor, and you can start to understand and ask yourself those really smart questions. Like, if there's a block to something, like if right, there has to be some truth. I think that people also thrive in logic and truth. So if like you can understand some truths here and maybe add to this, okay, as I put it out there, because I would love to hear I love when you like go into this, but like if the truth is that the universe wants to give you everything, then why would you be given blocks? Right. So I start to go into logic and say, well, if the universe wants to give me everything that I want that is aligned with me, and there is a block, then the block is not coming from the universe because the universe wants to give me everything. It's literally coming from me. I'm the problem, it's me, right? Like, so what is it? It's not it's not a person standing in your way, it's not a thing standing in your way, it's not that you don't have enough money, it's not that you don't have the resources. What is it? Why can't you call in the money? Why can't you call in the love? What is there? It's you, right? So like when you start to get into that mindset, and I think that it's knowing what the truths are, right? Like knowing what are your truths that you actually wholeheartedly, without a doubt, believe in. And that's like one of my truths, that the universe has a plan for me. The universe knows where my highest and best self has been placed in this universe. So if the universe has showed me where I'm supposed to go, it does not want to block me from getting there because I'm meant to do that thing. So if I know that, then I know that everything else that is not fitting into that vision is false. It is a block.
Mhm.
Because my truth is waiting right here. My truth is this, right? And that's something new for me that I keep coming back to over and over and over. So how do you feel about that?
Well, what's going through my mind is creator consciousness, because I ask myself that too. It's like, am I a creator or not? Am I the creator of my reality or not? And I think that's what it ultimately comes down to, because I do believe the universe is for me. The universe is on my side. The universe is incredibly abundant. I believe it's also, um, it's at the same time, it's unconditional or neutral to what I end up creating. It's not, if I create something really crazy, unconsciously, it's not like, you messed up. It's like, is that what you want to experience? Okay, cool. Like, it's just like a mirror. Like I'm looking at a mirror, and if I'm mad at the mirror, like that's kind of the wrong thing to be mad at, right? But I'm a creator. It's like, wait a second. Am I a creator here? As an example, this might kind of bring it home more. I felt like years ago, I had completely moved states, moved to a whole new place, a whole new community, and I was setting up like a new life for myself here in Florida, actually. And, at the time, like so many things were going well. I was engaged at the time. I had a business that I loved. I was like, I think at the time I was in like my second dream car, and I thought like, I'm going to get here. I'm going to build this like beautiful, amazing community, and it's going to be super easy. Right. And then it wasn't. And then, I had some less than ideal experiences that, in hindsight, of course, I'm like, oh yeah, thank God for that, because that led me to a lot more trauma healing work that I wasn't aware that I needed. But back to creator consciousness, I had these blocks that felt like, no, this is really these people. Like, this is really like, these people are like, this is them. It's not me. I know I'm trying my best to like show up and be a good friend and like build connections and but it was me. It was me. And I had to come back to like, okay, wait, is the universe for me? Like, is the universe always working with me, or is it withholding like a community from me and like really heart-centered friends? Do I believe that? And some part of me did for a little bit. Like maybe I'm just meant to like be a solo bird, like as which would have been me staying in an old, like suffering, more of like a painful dynamic that I grew up with feeling. And, but I just don't think that, I didn't believe that that was like my reality. Like, I knew that if I wanted it, if I desired it, if I'm sitting here asking myself, there's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be better dynamic with people and with community. I get to create it. And it comes back to that creator consciousness. Am I a creator? And I ultimately came back to, yeah, I am a creator. So this limitation is not about what the universe can give me or wants to give me. It's about, where am I holding my potency? Where am I blocking this potency? Where am I protecting myself? What am I not seeing? How can this be easier? And that led me to trauma healing, which then actually honestly was the thing that led me deeper into what I teach now and what I ended up putting on YouTube. And it was such a blessing. So like, in some aspect, you could say, some people might think like, well, yeah, the universe like made you, like you were created like that, so you could go on this journey, so you could learn this and then teach this and share this. Like, sure, that is a way it manifested, and I can totally see that. Do I believe that was the only way that could have manifested? No. Do I believe I could have manifested great healing and great understanding without pain and suffering? 100%. Am I mad that I had pain and suffering? No, because I always believe when I encounter an obstacle, there's a way through it, there's a way around it, there's a solution, there's an answer, and am I a creator or not? Yeah, so it comes back to then asking yourself, all right, what's going on within me? What is going on within me that I'm not seeing? What is going on within me that I'm holding? And and then, so to finish that story, when I liberated that energy, I am telling you, so I just had dinner with like 10 other of a group of friends, and to celebrate our friend's birthday. And it was just so much fun. And I'm sitting there with like this community with these incredible friends. We're laughing, we're having fun, we're having dinner, and it just felt like an abundant, wonderful vibe. And I'm like, yeah, no, the universe wasn't holding this out for me. I there was things within me that I wasn't aware of that were holding back from this. I was protecting myself from. And then when I healed that, like a whole world of people, wonderful moments, amazing opportunities, wonderful dinners. It was effortless. I didn't have to force it to happen. It literally, it feels like it just happened. So it comes back to, do you believe you're a creator or not?
Yeah. The f- I I think that the forcing is something that people get so stuck with, and I have been there so many times, and I catch myself doing it too, and it's like, you won't have to force it. And if you are forcing it, then this is when, like, there are certain cues, I think, that the universe is giving you for you to start asking the deeper questions. And I think that that's one of them. Like, if you feel like you are forcing something, or like if you're a business owner and you're screaming from the rooftops about what you're doing, and you're trying to convince others, what do you need to work through there? Because
Mm.
you shouldn't have to convince anybody of what you're doing, because you're standing in your light. You're going to attract it. You know, if
Mhm.
you're standing in your light, if you're trying, if you're screaming from the rooftops, you're not allowing magnetization. You're forcing. You're saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, rather than saying, I'm here shining. If anyone wants to shine too, come on over. Let's go. Get in this light, right? It's that, and I think over time that was something that I truly, truly learned, because there was a time where I was shouting from the rooftops, and I don't do that anymore. Like, I don't have to do that anymore, because I just allow myself to shine. And this is what I teach, like, all the teachers at Spirit and Soul, like, let's just shine. Let's
Mhm.
just shine, and we don't need to scream. And when we do that, you just see the magnetism, you see the people who are your people. Like, Madeline, realistically, those people probably weren't your people before. You know what I mean? Or were they in that group now?
Um,
They were.
yes and no. Some were, and some were. And then the ones that were, it was amazing because when I changed, the relationship changed. And I didn't have a sit down conversation with these people. I just addressed the really hurt places within me. And the places, what I discovered was that, and I think this was actually a past life, to kind of tie it back. I used breath actually to open up the heart chakra. And I'm just like, I'm alone, and I'm just like crying, right? And it's like I laugh about it now, but like at the time I would have been so offended if you were laughing at me. But
I'm
I let it
sorry.
I let it go. I didn't try to let it go. It let itself go from me. It will let this stuff wants resolution. Energy wants to flow. The universe wants to work with you. And so just doing what kind of, again, like really being aware, where am I disconnected? What's going on here? And then moving through that, literally the relationships have improved. I feel seen. I feel loved. And I literally, I talked to my husband about this. I'm like, did they change too? Was it just me? Was it like it, even like family stuff? Like yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, yes and no. Some people left, but some people are the same.
The ones who were meant to be there, right?
Yes.
And that's it. It's like, let those people go. You know what I mean? Like, let those experiences go. Let those things go. Like, it's funny, in all of my classes and all of, even like my coaching, like I do group coaching and stuff like that. And I'm like, just let it go. And they're like, it's not that easy. I'm like, no, no, no. It is actually. It's not easy in the mind. It's not easy up here, but it is actually that easy when you choose, right? It's all coming back to choice. Like, you're choosing to hang on to it now that you're aware of it, right? So if we're not aware of it, okay, understood. But once you're aware of it, you're choosing to hang on to it. You're choosing not to surrender to it. You're choosing not to let go of it. You're choosing to let it run your life. You're choosing to let it not, have you call in friends and love and money and the career you want. And that is your choice, right? And if we can start to understand, like, I love to empower people and say, no, it is that easy. It is. And when it comes up again, you surrender again and you let it go. And when it comes up again, and you continue to do that until the energy fully moves through and out, right? And we can do that quicker with spinal. Okay, we can do that quicker working with somebody, or as you experience it in everyday life, you keep choosing to let it go. And it becomes that easy. Like especially Cecilia at the shop, like she gets like crazed when if like, something breaks or like, whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, just throw it out. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not attached to it, and she's
Okay.
like, how would you say that? We've had this for so long. And I'm like, who cares? Like, let it go. Its time has come and passed.
Right.
And she's like, how do you just let go that easy? I'm like, because I don't form attachments like that, to things or whatever. Like, let it go. On to the next. So trying to do that in your life, or doing it, I don't want to say trying, doing that in your life makes it muscle memory. So that when it's time to let something go, you let it go. And then you let go easier in spinal, and you let go easier in a coaching session, and then suddenly it is so easy to let go once you're aware of something that is blocking you. It's that easy.
And that just 100%, it reminds me of a spinal session where you can, it's like the minute that someone's energy field comes in and you can feel it, it like your whole, and then you can just feel your body, your nervous system like feels that. It feels like, oh, there's support here. I can let go. So kind of what you're talking about with like when you have with why I love mentorship coaching, spinal work, nervous system work, having someone come in and it's like they hold you and say, hey, I got you now. You can let go. There's something so profound about that because it's one thing, you can absolutely surrender to the universe, to source, God, like use that as your ultimate, like, I trust you and I know you're holding me, I let go into you. But sometimes, like what you're saying logically, sometimes like that logic brain is so, it needs a little help, right? And there's something to be said about having like soothing the brain from all the questions it's going to have. There's something about just like giving it truth and wisdom, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. And it's like, you can kind of rest in that, can rest for a moment, and then it opens up to an easier surrender. But working with a person, I've had this experience when like someone just comes into my field. I don't even know exactly the moment they come into my field, but my nervous system does. And I can just feel like my body go, okay, we're safe now. Because someone else, it's not all on me. And it's just like, it makes the letting go so much easier. So if there is trouble letting go, sometimes that extra bit of those hands behind you saying, fall back, I got you now. It's just like, you can experience a surrender that maybe you couldn't have never experienced before.
Yeah. I work with Mother Mary also for that. Like, so if I'm on my own, it's like I will call in Mother Mary energy. And I think that's why at Spirit and Soul, we love her, like idolize. Like we just got a beautiful statue of her, because there is magic in the surrender. And there is almost like, for me, no better energy for me and my personal, feelings than being caught by the mothering energy, right? Being caught by that loving, that saying, I've got you, surrender. So if you're not, sitting with Madeline, or sitting with myself, or sitting with, the person that's helping you walk through this, right? You are never truly alone when you can fall back into other energies as well. And the culmination, it's like it takes a village, right? It's like that saying, it takes a village. It does take a village. Like, lean on the people that you can lean on. Some people you can't lean on, and you know who they are. Okay? You know who they are. And don't pretend. I know they're supposed to be your best friend. They're supposed to be no. You know who you can let go around and who you can lean on, and allow yourself to do that, because that's where the magic truly lies, in that surrender for the liberation, right? For that, you have to surrender in order to be liberated.
100%.
Girl, I love our conversation. This is just like, we just turned the camera on, and this is what Madeline and my conversations sound like all the time. It could be even in voice notes. We're like, hey, what do you think about this? Like,
all the time.
no, it really is. Like, we have the best conversations. But I love when you're on the podcast, and it's very interesting because we had something completely, totally different planned, and we didn't even talk about it.
Oh well.
Which is A-okay. But I love where this went today. I think that people need to hear this right now, and they need to know that they're supported, and that's what you do. So Madeline, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how they can follow along in your journey, where you hang out the most, and how they can be supported by you.
Thank you. Yes. So check out my meditations. That's the best way to really get a feel for my vibe, how I work. If even what I'm saying is like something that resonates with you, at YouTube/The Meditation Queen. You can either look for The Meditation Queen or The Heart Space. It should be The Meditation Queen. That'll pull me up. I'm also at themeditationqueen.com. I'm also at Facebook and Instagram, and kind of teetering every now and then on TikTok. I'm still debating on TikTok, but big time YouTube. Find me on YouTube, check out a meditation, check out a short. Yeah. And then, and Spirit and Soul, Spirit and Soul is like my second home. It's like that's like my go-to. So yeah, I'll be here floating around somewhere.
Yeah, so you can find Madeline's exclusive meditations on the Intention app, guys. These are like specialty droplets of goodness that Madeline gifts us, and like when I see an email come through with that meditation, I'm like, oh yeah, baby, here we go.
Oh,
because you know they're going to be amazing. Side note, Madeline's money meditation, I suggest to everyone that is on her YouTube channel. Please make sure you go and check it out. Get yourself settled. It's a long, juicy one. Allow the time, and then allow in the abundance that follows. Mwah, I love it. Pair that maybe with some of Frank's money spray. Woo! You bet.
Yes. Get in that field. Oh my gosh.
Yes. All right, Madeline, thank you so much. Love you, love you, love you so much. And guys, I want to hear what resonated with you the most. Reach out to us on Instagram at Spirit and Soul Studio. Reach out to Madeline on Instagram and let us know what resonated with you the most. And obviously you can come and work with us, and we will hold you in that space. We would be honored to do so. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast.